Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Today I had a bit of an idea of a Theorycraft I wanted to look at. I was thinking about Shudderwock, and I wanted to imagine what it would be like if both Shudderwock and Grumble were neutral cards, which would allow the infinite Shudderwock combo to happen for every single class. Now, there's a lot of not powerful things on this list, and there's some things on this list that are incredibly broken. This is a really fun list for me to look over, and I can't wait to go over them with all of you. So without further ado, let's get started with Druid. So to start off, Druid is probably one of the worst classes for this. There's some other ones that aren't that good for the Shudderwock synergy, but Druid is definitely one of the ones that don't give a shit about Battlecry minions or just Battlecries at all. So, like, to start, you could have like Crystal Stag and Gloop Sprayer and Elise to help you copy your Shudderwocks, I guess, but that doesn't really do anything proactive other than copy your Shudderwocks. You could play Bewitched Guardian to gain health, but Twilight Drake already does that. You could play a few cards. You could play Celestial Dreamer, Elder Longneck, and Verdant Longneck if you wanted to play a deck that made a bunch of big Shudderwocks with just a bunch of stats on them. You could do that. And the last one for Druid that I could really think was even feasible was Splintercraft. And even at that, it's just, do you want a 10-mana Shudderwock? If you do, you got Splintercraft. So that's the most I could think of for Druid, honestly. All right, then moving on to Hunter. This one is not good, but there's a lot more things that are really interesting in this list. Starting off simple, if you play the Shudderwock list that uses the Undertaker to make your Shudderwock have Death Rattle, you can use Terrascale Stalker and Princess Huhuran to get extra triggers of those death rattles. So that could be fun. You could play Dispatch Coda if you want chaos. You could throw around Shudderwock's 6 attack and damage just everywhere, anywhere, your face, their face, your Shudderwocks, anywhere. You could do that if you want. You could make your Shudderwocks poisonous with Carrion Drake, which is really clunky and probably not good. If you could actually have like a good battle cry, or not a good battle cry, a good board clear in Hunter with Rexar and just constantly clear their board. That's pretty good. A really dumb one that I like is Boommaster Flark. You could play the Boommaster Flark in some kind of really bad combo where you constantly just summon Goblin Bombs and then get them destroyed by the Grumble effect, just pulling stuff back to your hand. And you know what else you could do? Is you could play that with the Undertaker deck, and then you could give your Shudderwocks the battle cry or death rattle of dealing damage to your opponent's face and just burn their face down with bombs. It's really stupid, and I wish you could do that. It sounds like a lot of fun. If you want to do the big minion meme, you could play Emerus and repeatedly double your minions. You could put a boar in your hand, and after a while, that teeny little 1/1 is going to be so big that nothing will ever be able to survive it. Nothing. That, the more I think about it, the more ridiculous that is with charge minions existing. That's one of the first reasons that I think that I'm glad Shudderwock is not a neutral card. Anyway, you could combo this with Zul'jin, which sounds really good at first, but then it's like awkward because with Zul'jin you want to be like summoning a bunch of minions back, and you could just do that once with the Shudderwock where you don't even do the Shudderwock Grumble thing. You just use it as one extra summon or 1 extra Zul'jin and just summon all your beasts back again. But if that's too plain for you, what you could do is play Zul'jin with a bunch of damage spells like Arcane Shot and Twin Shot, or what is that card called? Rapid Fire? Yeah, that one. All just the spells that do damage to anything, and just have chaos where damage is thrown everywhere. So you could have a chaos damage Shudderwock Hunter if that's what you want. You could use the new Wild Bloodstinger. It'd probably be really bad because the Shudderwocks are just 6/6s. But you could take out their hands and kill everything in their hands if it works. If you can get it to work, like buff Shudderwock or something, then you can use that to kill every single one of their minions in their hand and probably just make them concede. And the last one that I thought of a little bit late for Hunter is Queen Carnassa. If you really want to be done with this, you can play the Hunter quest with the Shudderwock, and then you play Queen Carnassa, and then you play Shudderwock later, and then your deck is just literally never empty, ever. You will never fatigue, ever. Not once. Okay, so now that we're on to Mage, right, I need to point out that Mage is probably the most broken class out of all of them, if you could have infinite Shudderwock in. Just because of one card, and that one card is Leyline Manipulator. The fact that you can make your in-hand Shudderwocks 0 mana means that you can actually just go infinite with this. You're not limited to 10 Shudderwocks a turn. You can actually just go forever with this. And I've come up with some combos that will show how dumb this would be if this existed. So the first one for that is Daring Fire Eater. If you play 2 Daring Fire Eaters, and then you play your Shudderwocks, every Shudderwock will add 4 damage to your hero power, and then it will take about, honestly, 7 or 8 Shudderwocks to kill your opponent with your hero power. And if your opponent has armor, and you just do the Leyline Manipulator thing, you just go forever. You just keep going. You just keep playing Shudderwocks. You just keep going until you have enough damage on your hero power to just kill your opponent. Like, that's just ridiculous. Another one in the same vein of things. It's kind of the same combo if you think about it, but it requires you to have an extra card. Celestial Emissary. If you want to shoot your opponent in the face with big spell damage, like on a Frostbolt or something, any like damage spell or face burn spell, with this infinite Shudderwock combo, you can get as much spell damage as you want. You want a Frostbolt that does 50 damage? Sure, take this. This is ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just so glad, as I've said before, that Shudderwock isn't actually a neutral card, because this would be stupid. Some less crazy stuff. You could play Arcane Keysmith. And there's a lot of cards that I just didn't include on this list because there's a lot of battle cries that just add cards to your hand, and I don't care for that in Shudderwock because it has a lot of potential to kill the infinite by making you low roll and making you not get Shudderwock back into your hand and making your hand clunky and full of garbage. But the nice thing about Arcane Keysmith is that it'll just put secrets into the battlefield right away. So if you just do your infinite Shudderwock, you'll have 5 secrets no matter what every single turn. So that's pretty hot. But honestly, you don't even need the secrets if Shudderwock were able to do this. it would be pointless. If you can do it right, you could use like Malacrass. Something. If you could manage to get the Mage quest, the old one, Open the Waygate, off multiple times, and then like do a bunch of those Battlecry minions that add spells to your hand for Mage, and then just complete the quest over and over again. You got the Leyline Manipulator that makes the quest reward cost 0. You got your cards that you're generating will cost nothing. So if you're fast enough with this, you could completely 100% lock your opponent out of the game by just continuing to get extra turn after extra turn. That is such a dumb thing to think about. Shudderwock is honestly one of the most powerful cards in the game, and I think that this experiment today is really showcasing how powerful Shudderwock could be. I don't think any card will ever be printed that will be more powerful than Shudderwock. I actually don't think that. Like, Shudderwock will just continue to get stronger in Wilds. Anyway, back to the cards. A little bit of a fun combo you could do is you could do Meteorologist to just get constant little ping damage, just pew 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 them. And you could also, if you make it a Reno deck, you could include the new Reno card into this to help Meteorologist by getting rid of all the minions so Meteorologist can go face. And the last thing I have for Mage, I'm sure there's much more you could do with Mage with just the power of Leyline Manipulator, is Tortolan Pilgrim. You could use it for like infinite flame strikes, or you could do a bunch of puzzle boxes, which could be a lot of fun. This one was a crazy one to think about, but let's get on to Paladin then. So Paladin still has some fun things, but it's not quite as good as Mage was, but I don't think anything else on this list will be quite as good as Mage. The first thing I'd like to start with is the first thing that I thought of when I started doing this video is you could do Infinite Thakal and Reno just to gain big armor, just a ton of armor, so much easier than the Undertaker armor method that people did a while ago. You could also include Nozari into that if you just want to BM super hard and make your opponent unable to die, even though you're just guaranteed to win. So that's fun. BM is always the best thing to do. One that's probably bad is you could do Mysterious Challenger and just infinitely draw secrets from your deck, but you're going to run out of secrets really fast, so I don't think I like that one anymore. A fun one is Finley, the new Finley of the Sands, I think its name is. You play Finley, and then you just refresh upgraded hero powers, and then you play a Shudderwock, hero power, Shudderwock, hero power. Could be powerful. Probably not. It's just a fun one that I thought I'd include on this list. If you like the buff walk idea, you could play cards like Grime Street Outfitter and Glowstone Technician. You could play Galvadon. That one's fun. You could play Galvadon to just make big walkie boys. You could put Coghammer in there as well to just guarantee the Taunt Divine Shields. So that's a thing. I think there's a good few classes for just... Oh! I don't know why I didn't think of this one until now. You could play Lanessa. You could play Lanessa to get, like, really big buff Shudderwock. That sounds fun. I like that. And the last one is you could combo Edric the Peer with Mossy Horror and make it so they'll never be able to play a minion ever again because all of their minions will die forever. Anyway, let's move on to Priest. Priest is one that I think is a lot more simple than the other ones. You could do big healing with cards like Omega Medic and Amara. And Amara kind of makes Omega Medic a little bit pointless in this discussion, but it also requires you to have Death Rattles, so I don't know, however you want to build that deck. You could toss in Shadow Bombers and add in the Life Drinker combo to just burn your opponent's face faster if you wanted to do that meme. And again, if you want to never fatigue ever again for the rest of your life, you could just play everyone's favorite card, Archbishop Benedictus. So that could be fun. And one that I just thought of, if you wanted to play a slower Shudderwock deck, you could play Kazakus in the Cabal decks. Just get infinite potions. That sounds fun. I like that idea. Anyway, we're moving on to another really strong one, which is Rogue. So Rogue is probably one of the last reasons why Shudderwock shouldn't be a neutral card. And the simple reason for that is Valera. If Shudderwock infinite combos worked for any class, rogues would just be immortal. You'd never be able to kill them. They would just hide in the shadows for the rest of their lives and never come out, just kill you from the shadows. So that's incredibly broken and definitely should never, ever be in the game. The rest of the things on the rogue list are not nearly as good as that, but there's some fun ones. You could play Lab Recruiter as like a better banker. If you want a bad board clear, you could play Dark Iron Skulker. The fun one that I like is Blade of Cthulhu. You could make really big infinite Cthulhu's with this. And the last one for Rogue is Tess. A lot of people like the idea of just doing infinite Tesses or a lot of Tesses. This would be how you do infinite Tess. Just this. And then you just test forever. But then again, it would also probably... No, never mind. There's ways to get spells from your opponent's class without battle cries. But it would still be awkward to do it without cards that are battle cries that give you cards from your opponent's class. I don't know. It would be doable. It would be fun. I would like it. Anyway, we're on to Warlock now. So, Warlock, probably one of the bad ones. First off, you could play all of the self-damaging minions because it would be funny and you'd kill yourself. Second off, you could play all of the minions that discard cards from your hand because it would be funny and you would make yourself lose. You could play Omega Agent if you want to help the Shudderwock self-copy thing. You could put in Lord Godfrey and it might help. It'll help. It would clear some stuff. But it might kill your Shudderwocks, which would be bad. But the real good one here, which would probably be the only reason to even play Shudderwock in Warlock, would be Nosferatu. And then you just infinitely kill the rest of the cards in your opponent's deck, which would be fun. Don't we all like making our opponents not have fun? I'm sure we all do. Okay, last and probably not least is Warrior. You could do some fun things with this, so it's definitely not least. The first thing you could do is you could play Iron Juggernaut and Clockwork Goblin for Bomb Walk. And you could toss in the Sephorium Bomber in there too, I guess. Some people already do that deck. That deck already exists. But you could have more bombs. What's better than more bombs? The next idea I had was Armor Shudderwock Warrior. You could play the easy one of Shield Maiden, or you could play Cornered Sentry and Dry Whisker Armor for big armor. Just a big armor. And then you could also toss in like Bloodraiser and Ravaging Ghoul to clear all of their minions, including the minions that you spawn from Cornered Sentry. That would be decent. You could play Tomb Warden if you want a bad way to help your Shudderwock copy pool? You could, I guess. And I think the last one that we're going to look at today is Hobart and Grapplehammer. You could make a big weapon, no matter where it is. You could just have weapon Shudderwock. Probably not as interesting as some of the other things we've looked at today, but it still sounds fun. Okay, if you made it this far through my ramblings, I appreciate you sticking through this with me. This took a bit longer than I thought it would to record. But if you enjoyed it and you're not subscribbled, you could subscribble. I'd appreciate it, or you could leave a like. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Go outside.